Happy Saturday, catchers. Listen, I don't know if you guys gotten a chance to see Joy Reid and the Kamala, the Vice President Kamala interview. Congratulations, Joy. It was amazing. You asked VP, Vice President Kamala, all the um, questions that we were all wondering about. And just like um, the when she, Vice President Harris was on The View, she still being very loyal to former President Joe Biden. And I saw you tried, girl. You were trying to pull it out of her point of view of how she was treated, and she wasn't budging. Um, she got vulnerable with you. I saw that. I saw the vulnerability with her. Um, she talked about um, after she lost, she got into this mindset of being very much task oriented. I have to take care of all the loose ends. She really didn't tap into the loss yet until she wrote the book 107 Days. Um, she was moving out of DC. All that was going on. Remember the fires that was happening, you guys, in LA. She had to deal with that because her home was near the fires that was happening. So all this was going on after the election that she lost. And so she was just on tunnel vision, getting things done. Um, and so she didn't really tap in yet. And then Joy went in. She says, look, do you feel that the loyalty that you had during the election for former President Biden, do you feel that it was returned back to you? And, you know, how does she feel about Joe Biden not forgiving her? Do you remember that when she was running against Biden? Okay. Do you remember the when Vice President Kamala went after uh, Joe Biden about the remember the busing situation? She claimed that Biden did not want any of people of color children to be bused in where the white kids were when she was a child. He worked to oppose busing for black children to go to integrated schools. And she says, I was one of those children. Do you remember that debate? And I often wondered, I was like, wait a minute, how is he going to ask Kamala to be his running mate after she went after him regarding that, claiming that he was a racist and that he really didn't care for the black children. And I was thinking, that's odd that he would ask her to be his vice president. And how did his family feel about about her putting his business on blast? Because it is on record that he did try to stop the busing of black children going to better schools, which were in the white neighborhoods. He tried to stop that. Yes, he did. That happened like 40 years ago, whatever. Anyways, but word on the street is Miss Joe Biden never forgave her. Never. And I mean, that is her husband. I can see why. Like, why would you have this black woman be in the White House with you after she called you a bigot, pretty much, allegedly? Okay. But anyway, so that's also in the book. Okay. And so then when Joy asked her, like, okay, do you feel that the loyalty was returned back? Because in the book, you're letting us know that you guys were divided and that he really didn't support you while you were running, nor did his wife. So this is what Kamala said. She said, "This book is not about Biden." She says, "This book is about a historical race." And so again, she's still protecting him in the interview. Still, she did talk about that during her election, the strain was put on her and her husband. You know, him constantly wanting to protect her, wanting to fight for her, and which is natural. When you love somebody, I couldn't imagine, um, you know, keeping my mouth shut if someone is calling, my significant other or my husband names. I would be ready to pounce, and so that put a strain on their marriage. Um, let's see what else happened. Joyce said, "In a world that you live in, you allowed, oh, in the world that you were in, you were allowed to shine." Hey, Joy. Good, how are you? It says, "In the world that you were allowed to shine, he really wanted your light to be dim." You know what I'm saying? He did not really want you to have this bright light. How do you feel about that? You know, and then again, Kamala fashion. She says, "I wasn't running against Biden. I was running against Trump." But Joy made she made a true statement. She says, "You know what? Um, you had the opportunity for your light to shine during this election. He asked you to go ahead. He passed the baton to you, or did he? Right? And as soon as the light was shining on you, in the book you shared, they were trying to dim it. You know, um, and so she says, right now, my concern is the fact that, and she deflected. She didn't want to. She didn't want to talk about it. She talks about Trump militarizing our streets, which he's doing it in real time, sending the military to different neighborhoods and terrorizing, people of color, especially Hispanic Americans. And then, allowing these ICE raids. It's just really crazy. Then Joy, I'm telling you, Joy Reid went in on the questions. She asked Vice President J.D. Vance's wife, who is the same race as your mother, which is Indian, shares the same heritage as your mother, Vice President Kamala. But Vice President Vance called you trash. Did he ever speak to you while you were in the same car as him? And did his wife ever speak to you? Okay? Because I wanted to know that too. This man is married to an Indian woman who is the same race as your mother. God bless the dead. And he called you trash. I wanted to know what in the world was his wife thinking. Okay? And so again, Kamala, true fashion, dodging the question. And Joy was like, Black women are upset at what JD Vance said about you. Well, if you don't fight, we're fighting for you. Kamala is careful of what she's saying, just like I said in my other video. Might I say 2028, y'all. I believe she's going to run. She's very careful. Now, mind you, all this stuff is in her book. She talks about it. But in interviews, she's not going to talk about it. Um, Joy Reid tried to get Kamala to reveal the negative, okay, but refusing to. Um, she Kamala did also say, I don't have all the answers, you know, but it's always worth the fight, you know, to fight for, Americans. And Joy asked the question that we are all asking in real time: are we going to survive this regime? And I can say this: um, I always have a kingdom mind. I believe in God. You're my followers. You know how I feel. You know that we belong to the kingdom of God, and we'll survive anything that's thrown at us. So I'm never scared. Um, and I believe we will survive this. God has us. We